And Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana joins us now. Senator Kennedy, great to have you here this morning. You know, we come in off of these Georgia races, and we'll see what happens there. But the importance of it, I'll ask you about that as I read you the headline by Mark Thiessen in the Washington Post this morning. Trump can run and win in 2024, but first he needs to save the Senate majority. What do you see happening there, and how can President Trump step in and assure victory for the Republican Party?
Sandra, I'm honored to be with you on Veterans Day, a day that we thank all of our veterans, as we should every day. I can't overstate the importance of Georgia. We have, if you count Alaska, where we're also going to win, we've got 50 Republican votes. We need 51 to hold the majority. It's going to be determined in Georgia. What happens in Georgia is going to determine the future of the United States for the next 4 years. Now, if Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer and Senator Sanders and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez win in Florida, Georgia, you've got nothing to worry about unless you are a taxpayer, a business owner, a parent, a cop, a gun owner, a person of faith, or an unborn baby. You've got nothing to worry about if they get control of the United States Senate unless you care about the American dream. You've got nothing to worry about if they get control of the United States Senate unless you believe in more freedom as opposed to more free stuff. And that's what's at stake. And it's all hands on deck. The American people are going to get to decide. Are we going to live under democracy or socialism?
And that is the point Mark Thiessen makes in this piece. I'll put this up on the screen. Before leaving the White House, he says he, the president, has one job to do, one last job to do. He must save the Republican Senate majority. If Democrats win the two Georgia Senate runoffs on Jan 5, they will take control of the chamber. They can then get rid of the filibuster and pass whatever radical legislation they like. In this same piece, Senator Kennedy, and it seems like that echoes your point, in this same piece, he says that means the 2024 Republican nomination is Trump's if he wants it. He talks about the loyalty of his base more than any president in modern history, an army of 71 million voters. What do you want to see the president do next, assuming that Joe Biden makes his transition into office?
Well, number one, I want to see the president finish prosecuting his claims of irregularity. The integrity of the electoral system depends on it. We have tens of millions of Americans that think that the election was rigged as a carnival ring toss. And it's important that they, however the election comes out, that we all accept the results. And so we've got to finish letting our courts do their job. In terms of what happens after that, I hope the president, regardless of how the legal claims come out, helps us in Georgia. We need the help. He's very popular in Georgia. And I don't want to, I can't understate the importance of this. I don't recognize many of my colleagues in the Democratic Party anymore. I mean, many of them really are socialists. They really are to the left of Lenin. They really do believe in open borders and that abortion is a moral good. And they believe that the way to deal with Iran is with hugs and hot cocoa. You know, I mean, it'll change America if the Democrats get control of the United States Senate. We're not going to let it happen, but we're going to have the help of the American people. And I think our friends in Georgia will step up, you know, and now the media is going to tell them how they ought to vote. But lots of times American voters don't vote like they're told to. They've learned to filter what they get on the internet and through some of the national news organizations and make decisions for themselves. They're not morons.
And we're looking at a live look there in Georgia as we are anticipating a rally to happen shortly, as all eyes will be on that state until January. Senator Kennedy, we saw quite a bit of you yesterday, and you really gave former FBI acting director Andrew McCabe a grilling when he appeared before the Senate Judiciary Committee, on which you sit. He was grilled on Russian meddling, FISA abuse. Just here's some of what we saw.
You weren't fired for parking in the handicapped parking spot at the FBI, were you? You were fired for lying, were you not? You don't even ask questions about where he got his information. Had you done that, you would have found that he got it from Danchenko. Danchenko's a jellyhead. Okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And it all would have come apart. But you never looked. And it sort of looks like you didn't want to. And I don't know what's in your head or your heart. But I can tell you what it looked like to the American people, at the very minimum. An incompetence tsunami. And they're thinking, how did these guys make it through the birth canal?
Yeah.
Senator Kennedy, the president was tweeting during that hearing and said this: Republicans don't let Andrew McCabe continue to get away with totally criminal activity, he writes. What he did should never be allowed to happen to our country again. Fight for justice. That was a message to you and your committee, clearly, and your party, Senator. So what is the end game here?
Well, there is an investigation. The FBI does have an investigation, and we're waiting to hear about it. When you step back, Sandra, and look at what happened, it's really kind of breathtaking. Mr. McCabe, Mr. Comey, and a few others, Trump haters, decided to investigate the Republican nominee for President of the United States and later the President of the United States. And you say, well, they must have had a good reason. Here's what they based it on. First, they based it on Chris Steele, who is a President Trump hater. He's kind of a groupie at the FBI. He was buddies with some of these guys. And Chris Steele went to his buddies over there and said, you need to investigate Trump. And his basis for that was this guy named Danchenko. And Danchenko, it turns out, wasn't some upper-level person in Russia. He was some young person at a liberal Washington, D.C. think tank who was getting all this information from some of his drinking buddies in Russia, and later admitted, I didn't know if any of it was true. You know, somebody told me that the president was using prostitutes in Russia, and I just passed it on. And nobody at the FBI checked it out for 6 months. McCabe didn't, Comey didn't, Strzok didn't. They pounced on it like a ninja.
So how do you respond to the president saying, don't let them get away with this? I mean, so what's your plan for accountability? I mean, American people hear what you're saying. They're wondering, so what happens?
Well, if the U.S. attorney in Connecticut, I believe it's Connecticut, can prove that it was intentional, they should be prosecuted, all of them. And I noticed McCabe yesterday was very careful to say, McCabe yesterday said repeatedly, my words, not his. Look, I'll admit I was a chucklehead. I'll admit that we did a horrible job with this. I will admit that we were negligent. But we didn't do it intentionally. We didn't do it intentionally. He's speaking to the U.S. attorney. He's saying, please don't prosecute me.
Senator, I appreciate your time this morning on that and a lot more that is going on as this country tries to move forward. Keep us updated on where all that goes with your committee next. Thank you, sir.
Bless our veterans.